So everybody can
Report.
hear good.
Yeah, we live, bro. They can
All
hear
right.
us. They can hear us. They can see us. And man, it's a pleasure, bro. It's
Man.
anytime I see your face, man, you already know what time it is. I feel like I'm on WBLS Hot 97, the West Coast joints out there. It's special, man. And our synergy, our chemistry, it's unmatched, bro. Like straight up and down, man. We got some classics together. And there's so much that's happened across the landscape, the East Coast and all of that, man, and hip hop and down where you are. Uh, man, we got a lot to catch up on, man, for another time, for the light bulb. But hey, like we always talk about, man, that tree trunk and that as those branches go out, man, I've been fortunate and blessed, Robbie Lytle, to branch out with this gentleman named Reverend Emilio Ramon, bro.
Mm,
Born the stinking wrist, boy, like the Veterans Edition.
mm.
Um, I mean, it's a pleasure, bro, because I know you know a little bit about that. So, how you doing this morning, Reverend Emilio? How you feeling, brother?
Good morning. Thank you, Coach TL. You know, we love you back. There's a lot of love right here. So thank you, Reverend Ramon from Jersey, right, reporting with the Sergeant Majors on deck. So, you know, I got to behave. So, listen, I'm blessed. I'm grateful. Man, as you all know, we are closing down. Well, we already closed down phase one. And now, as we do in the military, right, we're ready to move on to that next phase. So thank you, Coach TL, for doing the forward on the inaugural edition. I can't wait for you all to read that forward. It is powerful. It made my wife cry. So I'm telling you. And we're also joined on deck with Coach Rob Lytle. But I'll let you
Yeah,
introduce
bro.
him. Love his story.
Oh man.
Coach Robbie Lytle, man, is to be honest, man, like I'm 49, fellas. I'll be 50 this year in August 10th. I'm a Leo
Leo.
kid.
Leo.
Yes, sir. Leo kid. And I know a lot of people, man, thanks be to, good God Almighty, been able to travel, see a lot of things, meet a lot of people. But in the sense of the word or phrase, I should say, when we say things like, yo, it's only one of that individual, man, that's how I feel when I see Robbie Lytle, Reverend Emilio. It's only one Robbie Lytle, bro. And I could go get all the plethora of people that I know, line them up, bring them in one by one. They don't know Robbie's nowhere in sight. Haven't talked to him in 5 years, 2 days, however long. And I could guarantee you, brother, it's a simple question, man. What do you think about Robbie Lytle? You're gonna hear things like loyal. You're gonna hear things like humble. You're gonna hear things like very wise and intelligent. You're gonna hear things like inspiring. You're gonna hear things like, man, God fearing, family man, uh, impeccable United States Marine, always putting his heart out there for others. So again, man, when you think of those attributes and those qualities, especially in a coach, especially in a sergeant major, especially in a brother, a husband, a father, it's a beautiful recipe. So it's many that know me that have rocked with the light bulb lessons and time, lighter leadership firm. They know, like I was saying a minute ago, man, our synergy is just amazing, Reverend Emilio. Like we didn't spend a lot of time together in the Marine Corps, you know, but our spirits were kindred. Like wherever he was stationed, wherever I was stationed, it was always that kindred. But when we decided to come together after retiring, man, oh man, you talking about uh I remember we went live one day, and we were talking about the Fibonacci sequence and how we broke that Fibonacci down. We was talking about pine cones and the shape of the pine cones and how that, coincides with just life as in
And the
nature. And
pineal gland.
yeah, bro. People. many of the people that we know, Reverend Emilio, personally from the military and family, friends, man, they was like, wow, these boys just opened up a whole new Pandora's box of thinking. So it's always been that with Robbie and I, man, the high level thinking to the best of our ability and pushing ourselves to try to reach higher levels just to be better men. So uh, representing Frisco, Dallas, Texas, currently uh, born and raised out of Asheville, North Carolina. Man, dog, it's my pleasure for the roll call, light bulb, man. I'm a co-author network, just the whole conglomerate of all of us. It's my pleasure this morning to have our brother Robbie Lytle, man. How you feeling this morning, good brother?
Man, I am feeling blessed and highly favored, man. And it's a awesome to share time and fellowship with you two great gentlemen this morning. I can't think of anywhere else I want to be in the world. I know I've been reclusive. I'm always on the move, but I am always watching. You know what I mean? I try to be as omnipresent as God lets me be here on earth. And thanks to social media and the thanks to that you two gentlemen are always moving, I can always grab an orbit and I might have to catch it later on. I might have to catch that
Yeah,
live after it gets uploaded later on, but I sure do watch. And I'm feeling very ecstatic down here. My family and I, we really do celebrate Martin Luther King Day. So later on today, we will be watching a couple of the speeches, and
hmm,
we'll be talking about this book that we've been reading, The Sword and the Shield, that has
yeah,
Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, that talks about
yes,
their
sir.
contributions to our great historic history of the United States. So I'm glowing. I got up early the morning to prepare for Martin Luther King Day and this, so it's great to be here and share time with you gentlemen.
Hey,
Yeah,
thank
bro.
you, Coach
Mm, mm,
T.O.
mm.
And Robbie Lytle. Yeah, you and I've been trying to connect with you. I'm like, wow, you're doing some major things. And by the way, your name came up, Coach Rob Lytle and Robbie Lytle. Your coach, your name came up, man. And I gotta say this. I don't want to spoil it, but there's so much about your chapter and how you serve others. And like I don't want to get too emotional, but I was on the phone with someone and they said you saved their life. You may not even know that. In fact, I believe the person said that I don't think I've ever told him that. And of course, I'm just gonna say that because the way Coach T.O. positioned it when you came on, but you have impacted people beyond the military, right? Beyond what you've done in your career. And I don't hear that often. I don't know about you, Coach T.O. I don't hear someone says, that man saved my life. And I was like, when someone says that, you just stop what you're doing. And so you position that. And I just want to leave it there. And Coach T.O. and my brother, just I don't know. I just felt it in my heart to share that because it's what someone shared.
That's an awesome. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that in the world we call coaching and leadership, because that's what it's about. It's about positioning other men to find their own path, other women to find their own path, other human beings to find their own path, and to also find a sense of heaven on this earth. You know what I mean? Like people think that we always got to die to find some kind of great glory. No, you can have peace and tranquility here on earth. It just takes a little bit of balance and awareness, and it's deliberate. It's hard. It's hard to. So whoever said that, blessings to them. But uh, you know, that's what it's all about for me. It's about positioning myself to where my basic needs and my family's basic needs are met, so I can put full focus on the work that needs to be done and helping heal broken people.
Thank you for that, my brother. You got a lot of
And that
shout outs.
and yeah, that is the sense of the word too, man. I know I said that earlier, sense of the phrase. Like Robbie, you live it, man. Um, you truly do live it. And I've seen you live it from the first time I laid eyes on you in a squad bay, Parris Island, South Carolina, Big Eye, known
Mm.
as India Company, 3rd Battalion, up on, follow. You was third deck follow.
Oh
But you
man.
was you was probably, if not the top three most seniors in the company. but I know you. And I'm like, yo, as I got to know you, I was like, yeah, he want to be up on third deck follow because them hogs getting trained differently. They're getting trained differently. What does that
Oh
mean,
man.
Reverend Emilio? You remember Reverend Emilio when you went to boot camp?
Huh?
Out of squad base, you got first deck, second deck, third deck, and then across first deck, second deck, third deck up top. Everybody wants third deck follow because that's far away from the first sergeant's office. It's far away. So
Yeah. Okay.
hey, mentally we're like, yo, if I get third deck follow, hey, we're kind of out of mind, out of sight, and we're gonna train harder, a little bit up there.
Okay.
So meeting Robbie up there, and he had already been hyped up to me by our other good brother. Shout out to Evans Janvier,
Oh
JV.
man.
All right.
JV
Yeah.
had
Shout out to
yeah.
JB, man.
Shout out to JV.
Yeah. Another
JV's the
co-author. That's right.
yeah,
Another co-author.
best drill instructor ever to grace Paris Island, man. Like I will take that to the grave that JV's the best
Man.
physical specimen of a drill instructor I saw with my own eyes. He knows I
A
feel that
robot,
way.
a cyborg.
Oh my God, man. He came out the womb, Evans Jambier, to be a drill instructor. And
Yes.
as you know, Reverend Emilio, he's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet.
Yes. Yeah. That's why
One,
I'm
one of
trying to
the
picture it.
yeah, one of the most heartfelt guys. But yeah, he had told me about Robbie, man, and he was like, "Hey, my senior drill instructor, he's the truth, Clay. Like I'm talking bona fide truth, Clay." And he was like, "But man, uh he's taught me so much, man. He's shown me so much, and he's the example type of guy. Like he ain't just one of them just talking and not doing. He shows by example. First one in PT for everything we do. First one out on the parade deck. First one dang on sitting down, giving the core values and really getting heart to heart with the recruits. Um, he jazzed him up, bro. And when I went up on that deck and saw Robbie the first time, it's like showing up, to the locker room, man, and you see Kobe up in there, showing up to the locker room, and you
I
see
love it. Oh man.
Julius Irvin up in there, Patrick Ewing, Hakeem Olajuwon. That's the feeling I had, man. And I say that from the depths of my heart. Like all jokes aside, he had been talked about in such an amazing manner when I first physically got to see him. I was like, wow, man, I see it. I see it. And then I blinked and he was gone because Robbie's senior to me. He had already been down there for a couple years. Uh, and again, I just held that place in my heart
Man.
of, man, he's one of the GOATs. Ross Blaine, one of the GOATs. Um, Jonathan Borders, one of the GOATs.
Yes.
Mm.
I could keep naming them, guys that, was before me that I was always looking at that measuring stick saying, man, if I could get my name somewhere, Reverend Emilio, associated along with them fellas, I'm in good company, man. And it just circled back years later, through God, through us understanding who God really
Yes.
is. It,
Yes.
it brought Robbie and I back together once again. So man, shout out to you, Robbie. Yeah, I want to know one thing, brother. We got some amazing people in the chat. Shout out to Jonathan Ragland. Shout out to Stu Maynard.
Oh
Shout out
man.
to Daniela. Shout out to Angeline. Shout out to Kizzy Clay. Shout out to Teddy
Wow.
Scott. It's great people, man. And trust me, they're up bright and early with us right now.
Oh man.
I want to know right now, Robbie, what does family mean to you? What does family mean to you, brother?
Oh man, that's a hard. That ain't a hard question, but it's a complex question. But to simplify it, family is the nucleus of my existence.
Yeah.
Everything that I do is for my family. It's my first ministry. You know what I mean?
Mm,
So uh, we look at this thing called coaching, and we talked about helping better people's life and bring people in, and we'll talk to the story in a moment here. But to me, family, it's the training ground for the ministry outside of the home. You know what I mean? And everybody has a role. You know, my wife plays a phenomenal role in keeping our family, a leadership role in our family, and our children are learning to be young leaders. So family to me is everything. Not just my family, my immediate family, my sister, my siblings, my nieces, my nephews. You know, unfortunately, both my grandparents are gone, but I have my wife's family as well. So my kids get to share in that, and we really do make a concerted effort every time to get together as much as we can. But family to me is everything. And when I think of if I had to use one word, it'd probably be source. It's the
Yeah.
source of everything that I do. It's the source of my energy. It's the source of my motivation. It's the source of my existence. It's my fuel. So
Mhm.
families, I guess it's everything to me. It's the source outside of my relationship with God, the choice to choose Michelle as my better half or wife has probably been the most important decision I've ever made in my entire life.
And for the viewers and the listeners out there, uh, Mrs. Michelle Lytle is also a United States Marine.
Oh man, she's
Against
amazing.
all enemies, foreign and domestic. You
Oh
know what I'm
man,
saying? And how
she.
did you and Michelle meet, brother?
Oh
Where did
man.
you all meet? How did you all meet?
All right, so this all right. I was a sergeant major. Or no, I was a first sergeant. I was a first sergeant, and there was a deployment coming up, and I had no business on the deployment. I was with MWSS. No, I was with Marine Wing Communication Squadrons 38 on Miramar, and there
Yeah.
was a deployment coming up, and my boy Master Sergeant Fry was in charge of the roster, and I had no business to go on this deployment, but I had to get some. I had already been through a divorce with my previous spouse. I was going through some rough things with some kids, my custody thing, so my life was kind of shattered. I needed something to distract me, so I wanted to jump on this deployment to Bahrain. So long story short, I got on the roster through my buddy Master Fry. He just bumped somebody else off and put me on, and I got to go. So as you know, that automatically made me the senior enlisted advisor on the on
Right.
the uh, on the deployment. So what
Yeah.
happened was this. It's so weird because God worked in such a magnificent way this whole time. But so I go into the briefing room to introduce myself to meet the other Marines that we're going to go to Bahrain with. We had about 3 months before we're going to deploy,
Mm.
and I noticed Michelle immediately. I thought she was beautiful. She had a tight bun. She was just a squared away Marine. She was amazing. So I noticed her immediately, and I told her I fell in love with her, and I did. Right then and there, I couldn't stop thinking about her. So long story short, the way it ended up working out was I didn't approach her. I didn't try to, because we were deploying, so I had to be straight professional. So we ended up deploying to Bahrain, getting through the entire 5 6 month deployment, and then I didn't approach her till we got back. I had gotten Trey because Trey he was about 5 years old, so he came back. I got to visit my family, and I called Michelle and asked her out for a date. I cooked dinner for her when we got back, and then we've been
Yeah.
together ever since, man. I
Wow.
made her some salmon and some rice and some peas, and I'll never
Is
forget it.
that
But I
right?
was in love with her from the very genesis, man. I thought she was just amazing. I just felt it wasn't just outside beauty. I couldn't explain it, man. I didn't really believe in love at first sight and all that stuff. I think everything. I'm very deliberate and disciplined in everything I do. But it was just an energy exchange, and I couldn't explain it.
Yeah.
Now you ask her,
Yeah.
I don't think she felt it. I felt it, but I met her,
Yeah.
and then I didn't. We didn't have any kind of anything during the deployment. And then after the deployment, I had called her and see if she would want to go out, and she did. She came over for dinner, cooked dinner for her, and it was a wrap. We've been together ever since, and that was in 2013, October 17th.
Man, I agree with Teddy.
Man,
That's what God does. Shout out to Teddy,
shout
man,
out to
and
Teddy,
Kathy.
man, and
Yeah.
Kathy.
Yeah, man. That's what God does, man. Like,
Man,
man, I that warms my heart, brother. You know, and that's what I love about Born to Risk, and the sneak peeks that I've been able to check out, gentlemen. Uh, it ain't all the gory guts hanging out and everybody firing, rounds and it starts with family, brother. Like just from what I've read, and that's across all the branches of service, from the Army, the Navy, Marine Corps, etc. I've seen nothing but individuals talking about the things that really last. Uh,
Oh man.
we had Jacqueline Hyde on Friday on the road call, Robbie Lytle, and she talked about TBI. She talked about ballistics versus missiles. She talked about how many booms she heard, and it's just amazing, man, to hear the different accounts of the different situations. And it's like if you sit back and look at Jacqueline Height and you hear her story based on how many times she's been deployed, uh, the firefights and how long the firefights lasted. It's like, man, you have to tip your hat to her, brother, because she's still moving and grooving. So, man, Robbie, man, I smile when I think about Michelle, bro. I do. I smile when I think about dang on Solly, young Solly.
Oh
It's,
man.
it's it's amazing, man. And this project, brother. When I called you, man, uh, I didn't think about you saying no. I really didn't, Robbie. I didn't think about you saying, nah, bro, it's not something that I want to do, or it wasn't that. It was I knew that, man, his contribution is so paramount because, brother, like your wisdom, uh your knowledge, it always brings forth, an amazing understanding, man. And I just knew that if Robbie decides to be a part of this project with Reverend Emilio and I, man, that space of specialness is going to be there. Uh, when you got that call, man, what was it that made you say yes and want to be a part of this project with us, brother?
Well, first of all, you. That's the number one thing. You're my brother, and we have a different level of understanding. And first of all, I don't. It felt good. You know what I mean? And I don't. And for those that know me, I don't enter into things lightly. My no means no, and my yes means yes. So when I
Yeah,
say yes, I commit to something, and I push the chips in the middle of the table, I'm all in. You know what I mean? I'm just star student raising my hand. How can I get mine in first? All that stuff. But it's our
right.
connection. And then I saw you. You explained the project. Yeah, I didn't know how big it was going to be. I had no clue that all this greatness was going to get involved. Stu Manor, all the
Right.
big. The roll call is crazy. The
Yeah,
roster is nuts.
that's a
So
fact.
I felt humble
Yeah.
just being involved, and I had no clue all those
Yes.
individuals was involved at that time. When you uh, invited me to partake in this project, Neil, it was really just all about, all right, my brother said, hey, let's do this. And I said, hey, man, that's a good opportunity to work on something together with one of my brothers. And I had seen you two, Reverend Emilio, I had seen y'all's interaction on some kind of, it was just a passing scroll or something. I'm like, who is this? All
Hmm.
right, boom, boom, boom. And then you commented on something. I love these two Marines. Reverend Emilio, and I was like, you know what, this is a good connection. I looked on Reverend Emilio's page. We signed up. I looked at his F's, and we talked about
Right.
my little 6 pillars of balance: faith,
Yes.
family, fitness, finance, uh,
Yeah.
freedom, and future. So those kind of things, and it just aligned, and I just felt really good about the project, and it felt like I could really contribute something to it. I didn't know what it was at the time, but I hope that it ends up helping somebody out there.
You know what? Thank you for that. I've been just quietly listening, and with the family, Michelle, your wife. I look forward to Danielle, and I look forward to meeting her. So wonderful, wonderful, wonderful exchange that you and Coach Theo had. And as we're talking about the chapter and how that came about, I remember Coach Theo had sent the link, and you were in the background. We were prepping for the call, and apparently you were already on the call. You were like, "Man, I heard enough. I'm in." Like
Yeah.
it was crazy. Like it wasn't a hard sell. Like you
Right.
were just literally. We didn't even get a chance to fully explain it all. You were like, "I'm all in, Coach Theo."
Yeah,
What
bro.
Yep.
what was your reaction, Coach Theo, when he said
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, it's like I said, man, kicking off the roll call, it's certain individuals, and I've said this to you, Reverend Emilio, along the entire way. man, Robbie gets it. He understands. It's not his
Yes.
first rodeo. He knows what it means from an entrepreneurial spirit. He knows what it means from a spiritual spirit. He knows what it means from a brotherly spirit. All of these different attributes that, again, just the qualities, and he's helped me along the way. A few days ago, with a situation with one of our brothers, man, we talked about it. I could go to him, I could confide in him as a coach. He sharpens my blade, like really, all
Vice
jokes
versa.
aside, sharpens my blade, brother. Like I know, and my wife could attest if she was on here today, she already knows. Me and Robbie like to get on the phone. It's gonna be real training occurring. It's gonna be real building. Um, so she already knows. I know Michelle already knows that when these two get together, man, you just got to kind of back up and just let God do what He do, because they're going to come together. And great question from Daniela. What do you feel are veterans' biggest challenges after their service, after the uniform comes off? Any resources you have, or just your overall thoughts on that, Robin?
That's a great question, and it affects everybody because everybody either does 4 years and gets out and transitions, or they do 20 plus years and they get out and they transition. At some point in a veteran's career in that spectrum, they're going to transition. So the question is, what is the biggest challenge I think they face? It's it's finding their next purpose because
Yeah.
and if I can explain it. Specifically for Marines, so I speak from our perspective. The Marine Corps it was a challenge from boot camp all the way through whatever little command they went through or whatever. So you get out and you're transition. It's kind of like a highlight of people's life. Whether you do
Mm,
4 or 20, it's just like an astronaut. They spend their whole life trying to get to the moon. You know what I mean? They finally get there and then they get back. What's next? And that's how I think a lot of veterans feel when they take off the uniform and they get ready to don and clear something else. They're like, what's next? And then like,
yeah.
what can top this? What can top
Yeah.
what I just did? You know,
Yes.
and so you go into that of this kind of a confused state of like what's next, and then if you kind of know what to get there, you might not have the credentials to get there yet. Whereas in the Marine Corps, there was a path. To get
Yeah.
to corporal, I had to do this, and this. To get the sergeant, this, and this. Gunnery sergeant on up. Same thing on the officer side of the house. So there was kind of a MOS roadmap. When you get
Right.
out here as a young veteran, there's just like that we just talked about. There's really not that many resources. You hear
Mhm.
then you start hearing all the horror stories about how hard it is out here, and quite frankly, a hard reality is people will say thank you for the service, but they really don't care too much to what you did in the Marine Corps unless you're providing for whatever organization you're representing them with. And that's no
Representing
harm.
theirs. Yeah.
That's you got to be. It's got to be that way. So I think the hardest transition for veterans is one trying to identify that purpose, that next step, that next brick that they want to put on the wall to build whatever they're trying to pursue, and trying to figure out the what they have available to them, the resources available to them to get to that next level. So one of the best resources I would offer is one before you even if you didn't do this before you get out, you still know somebody that's gotten out of the Marine Corps. You have to have be humbled enough and take your ego and push it to the door to ask somebody and admit that you don't have it all figured out and and
That's
and,
right.
and confide in somebody and get it figured out. A lot of us we let our egos get us in binds because we just don't want to ask questions. We don't want to seem like we
Mm,
don't know. So my biggest thing is be humble enough and be vulnerable enough just to say, man, I ain't got this figured out. I don't know how I'm going to get my book published. This is the truth. I'm
right.
telling y'all right now. That's my
Right.
biggest thing. I have the book written. I don't I don't know who to trust with it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I have to be humble enough to ask two gentlemen who already know that a published author, my brother, Coach T.O. Clay, or I know him as Neil, and then
Hmm.
Reverend Emilio, your publisher, your author. I mean, I have to be humble enough to say, hey, can you help me figure this out, brothers? Or sister, or whoever it is. And then you have to sit back and not think you have it all figured out. Sit back and listen to the answer. And if you don't get it there, be humble enough to try it again.
Yeah.
Coach Rob, you just dropped some knowledge there, and I appreciate it. And just a little segue into, I might have missed it because we were sharing so much love and so much in regards to this chapter, because I know you've got your book, right? You got your forthcoming book being released. I'm excited. Can't wait. I want to be one of the first to buy it. So then let me put that out there. You let me know. We're buying it. We're buying a couple copies. So in regards to this chapter, what was your title and what was that greatest risk for you while in the military? We would love to hear that.
Okay, so just like Coach T.O. said, like you think about veterans and they're talking about their biggest risk. What usually comes to mind to everybody is some kind of combat story.
Right,
Like they had to fix bayonets. You hear like an Aubrey McDade story, which is
right.
it's a horrible situation to be in with some horrific stuff that he
Mm,
contributed. So, but
That's
you
right.
think of a story like that, if you know McDade, what he did to earn his stripes. Uh, so mine, I really had to think about it. I really put some thought into it. I said, okay, and I really was enthusiastic about the project. So I was thinking about combat first. I'm like, what Afghanistan? What, and there was a lot of them. Iraq. But when you think about the biggest risk I ever took, like I wanted to narrow it down to a real big risk. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of risk when you're a when you're a high level, high functioning individual and you're always on the go and you're not scared, you kind of jump off the cliff and grow your wings on the way down. You know what I mean? And
Right.
I've done
Right.
that so many times in my life. Risk is nothing to me. The only thing that I'm scared of now is something happening to my kids. That's my biggest fear. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
risk is nothing to me. Impossible takes a day. You know what I mean? Or difficult takes a day, impossible takes a week mentality. So the risk I started looking at was internally. You know what I mean? Things that I did that nobody knew about, that only I really kind of knew about. And quite frankly, my wife helped me narrow it down. She was like, "Yeah, I don't know. When I think about the biggest risk you ever took, it's your heart situation." I'm like, "What?" And I didn't even think about that one at first. So for
Hmm.
those that you don't know, I have a condition called Wolff Parkinson's White syndrome. And what Wolff Parkinson's White syndrome is your heart runs on electrical impulses. So you have two valves on the top, and we aren't going to get in a cardio class, but it beats like this: boom, 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 and it has a layer of insulation in the middle that keeps those electrical impulses on the outside of your heart. Well, what happened is some people, 1 in 9 Americans have this. Inside your insulation, it's not a murmur, so don't get it twisted with that. You can look it up. It's called Wolff Parkinson's White syndrome, but that insulation has a hole in it. So when I get a burst of adrenaline, or I get overly excited about something, my heart sometimes would jump on through that insulation. So instead of my heart going boom, 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 it would go boom, 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 and it would try to correct itself. But the
Wow.
electrical impulse is going through the insulation and all back around. So that's where you get those irregular palpitations because your heart's a self-correcting. You know what I mean? So it's trying to fix itself. Boom, boom, boom.
Hmm.
So
Homeostasis.
so what happens is, the heart pumps blood and blood gives oxygen to the rest of your body. So what happens over time, your brain's not getting the oxygen it needs, your body's not functioning until it corrects itself. And you usually have to get medication, or you have to be in a state of complete relaxation. So long story short, I didn't know I had Wolff Parkinson's. I never, we grow up pro. We didn't have no, we were poor. We didn't have no health care growing up. Nobody diagnosed me with this. I found out about it in our beloved battlefield called Paris Island. Now,
That's
my
right.
second cycle as a drill instructor, I had already been through boot camp. I was probably almost 5 years in the Marine Corps. I was a very young drill instructor. I graduated DI school one day, 4 years and one day after boot camp. Literally, my second cycle started. My second tour of duty in the Marine Corps, my second 4 years started after I had graduated boot camp,
Wow.
after I had
Mm.
graduated DI school on Paris Island. So I
Mm.
was a very young, hungry sergeant. So long story short, my second cycle got through my first cycle pretty good. All those learning curves that comes with the new drill instructor, the new green belt, got through that fine. Uh, then I got started my second cycle, and about I guess a little bit, almost towards the end of first phase, I start one of the days I came in, normal day, we were out on the range. And so it was already in the second phase. We're in the range. I went as a new drill instructor, went and got all the other hats we were at the sheds on firing week. And they sent me back to go get a bunch of stuff for Subway. And I was going to get these blue jolts. For those you don't know, before they had Monster, before they had all these crazy energy drinks, they used to have this soda called Jolt, triple the caffeine or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
And third battalion, we used to pound the blue ones. Cause
The
and
blue
and
ones.
so
That's right.
I went I went and got like 8 jolts and a bunch of Subway sandwiches for my hat team because that's what the new guy did. And you took it as a break. You was happy to be able to go
Yeah.
somewhere and do something to get your mind off the training. So I went, got the stuff. I came back late and they were already stepping off, and the hats were mad at me. They were pissed with like, we're going to chow anyway. So what I did, I was like, man, I got to do something with this food. So I drank as many of the jolts as I could real quick. I drank like one whole jolt, drank another jolt. I scarfed down a one of them Italian BMTs real quick, and
Yeah.
then I discarded the rest and I went on about my business. Went to the chow and working the recruits. We're at the range, out of the rifle range chow hall. And then we get back to the squad bay, and I feel like I'm just out of breath. And I felt like I had just ran the 3 mile PFT, like in an 18-minute 3 mile, like just, and that's how I felt. But I was just regularly walking and moving. And then so my heart, it felt kind of jacked up. So I talked to my drill instructor. You know, Paris Island's a very unforgiving place. You don't really go and ask for any time off or say
No.
something's wrong with you unless you can see a bone protruding out or
Yeah.
something, or you're passed out. Nobody's really caring that you know that you have something wrong with you, in a good way. So I go to my heavy at the time, which was Zapata, and I say, hey man, something's wrong with me, man. I got to go to medical. And he basically told me to suck it up. So I kept on moving. I kept going. But then he kind of noticed, like, man, you look kind of pale. And I was sweating more than like this. I wasn't sweating. You know what I mean? I had stopped sweating. And I was like,
Yeah.
he said, he just noticed. So in true Marine Corps fashion, I went on for the evening, but I was so happy to get some time off. I was like, man, I ain't going to no medical and wasting this time off. I'm just going to go get some sleep. So I went to the 7 Day store, got me a 6 pack of Heineken. I was still feeling the irregular palpitations, but I just felt like it was just, I just need some rest. I went
Yeah.
back, got about halfway through a Heineken, laid down on the rack. And then I woke up the next morning and it was time to get ready to go back. We had a hike. That was a Friday evening. We had a hike the next morning. You know what I mean? On Saturday. So I got
Wow.
up and I was like, man, I felt so out of it, so weak, so tired.
Golly.
Like shaving felt like I did 50 burpees. You know what I mean? Like every little small minute, I was destroyed. So long story short, I got to the squad. I got there. Everybody's out there. One of the senior drill instructors who's known for hat haze and actually looked at me and was like, drill instructor, you all right? And I guess I was just in the zone. I was like, I didn't really register. Like, good boss. Boom, 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 kept moving. Move. I get to the where our platoon's about to step off at, and the corpsman asked me to come over, and he put the stethoscope on my chest. And as soon as he did that, he's like, "You got to get to medical right now, brother." And I'm like, "Nah, man, I'll just do it after this hike." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When in my mind thinking, I wasn't
Yeah.
really thinking clearly. Remember, I had this stuff going on all night. I just happened to be asleep.
Right.
So long story short, we get to there. It was recruit medical. It's at Saturday morning. They made me go to medical. I get over to medical. I drive myself because that's how unforgiving Paris Island is. Like you better, hey, you can get over there, either walk or take a car. So I grab
Yeah.
somebody's car. I get over to medical. They put it's recruit sit call, so it's filled up over there. You know what I mean? So it's really not for permanent personnel. But as soon
Right.
as the doc looked at me, he's like, come here, drill soldier." Put that stethoscope on. Next thing you know, I was on the gurney getting life flighted to Augusta, Georgia. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, I'm
Wow.
still all coherent. I
Wow.
don't know what nothing's wrong. So anyway,
Mm.
they diagnose it. They go through this. I'm in Augusta, Georgia. I had just happened to have a girlfriend that I knew that was in the Air Force down there. So I stayed with her that night. It was an old girl that I had met, so I had a place to stay. You know what I mean? I didn't know anybody else out there, and I would, you know what I mean? I didn't even have my wallet, nothing. You know what I mean? I just had that cell phone that I had, the old school. Long story short, I got to Augusta, stayed with my old girl that night. The next morning, I went back to the hospital, and they told me I had Wolff Parkinson's White syndrome, and that meant that I was going to have surgery. The provide was called an ablation, which they go in with radio waves and they sear that little hole in that little hole in the insulation. I was going to have to take this pill that kept my that on a regular basis. I had to take this pill every day. And then I started thinking, I was like, man, if I tell them if I get this surgery, I ain't gonna be a drill
I
instructor.
can't get back on the boys.
I
That's
can't get the
right.
surgery. So I told them, I was like, hey, just let me get those pills and I'm gonna go back and tell them I'm gonna
Oh
take it
man.
easy. I'm gonna take it easy and they're gonna let me take some time off. And I'm over in Augusta. Remember, it's a different hospital. So they give me the pills. I go back and I say, hey, they said I'm good full duty. Boom. I'm taking the pills. Nothing happened. I had a successful tour of Paris Island. I only took those pills for about 4 or 5 months, and then I ex-nate them. Didn't you know what I mean? Because I'm
Yeah.
young and dumb. You know, I'm not really deliberate about my health. So that's the first episode. Fast forward it, I got a successful tour duty on Paris Island. About to leave and transition. I'm an infantryman. I'm a staff sergeant. I'm going back to the fleet. There's an opportunity to go to 1st Battalion, 8th Marines in this platoon called Distributive Operations, where they're trying something new. Now we call them the littoral. There's some kind of other littoral battalions, but it was a new concept called Distributive Operations, where you take an infantry platoon and you train them up in advanced communications, and you give them advanced technology. So little small
Mm-hmm.
things like we had SATCOM before they had it. We had the personal role radios and the PTT switches and all this little stuff before it actually came out. So we're in Afghanistan. We're training. Not training. We trained up a whole year. My whole platoon. I got to stay with my platoon for 18 months. They took us up to Fort Hunter Liggett up in California. They trained us by ourselves. They brought out counterinsurgencies. It was awesome. I got through the whole thing, no problem. Didn't even think about my heart no more at this point.
Right.
Then we get on the deployment. 5 months into deployment, we're doing a route with resupply to my lieutenant and two of my squads that's embedded doing sniper security in the mountains of Afghanistan. They've been out for about 2 weeks, so I'm taking a squad and a half in. I'm replacing them and replenishing them. So we get in. I'm the third vehicle back. There's a six vehicles in the convoy. I'm the third vehicle back. I'm the convoy commander. We're moving. It's at nighttime in Afghanistan. We're on this road, the Pesh River Road, headed towards this Asadabad. And what happened was, boom, the second vehicle blows up. An IED hit, and it was an anti-personnel IED. So it didn't kill anybody. It just damaged the vehicle. It blew the tires off the
Mm.
Humvee. Everybody had concussions. So me, my guy, we locked and loaded, got off the boat, and we found the trigger debt. We traced the wire back. We're climbing up all these mountains, providing security and bound and overwatch all the way up. We get to the top of the ridge line, and it's a catacombs. It's like a burial site. You know what I mean? So it's very unhinged terrain. So we're providing security, tracing this wire back because that's what they did. It was a long wire that looked like a lamp cord wire that had been put together and like ran out all the way back. So we find the trigger point, but we don't find the trigger man. So
Mm.
we're up there providing security, assessing the situation. Nobody died, but we had to get that vehicle out of here, and it was damaged. So we had to call in a quick reaction force to get us out of there. At that time, I'm like, man, kind of out of breath. It's been about 15 minutes.
Mm.
And then
Wow.
it clicks. I'm like, damn, it's happening. It's
It's
happening
happening.
right now
The
in my
wrong
mind. I'm like, oh
place.
my good.
Ooh,
So this
Lord
is
have
where the
mercy.
kind of the get to the back to the
Ah.
story. I named it the rhythm of risk for this reason because I talked about these incidents in the biggest risk I ever took. So what happened was to make a quick to wrap it up a little bit. I was sitting in the vehicle with my guide. He's like, "What's wrong, Staff Sergeant?" I'm like, "Nothing, nothing, nothing." But I was going in and out of consciousness. You know what I mean? I was like out of it. Boom. So um the guy, my DC was my guy. He's like, "Hey, listen, I'm calling Doc." So he called Doc Corman up. Doc came over with that little. Once he put the stethoscope on, you know what I mean? Because Doc Ivy, he's like, "You got to go, Staff Sergeant. You got to get out of here. Something's wrong with your heart, and I don't know what it is." I was like, "I do." In my mind, I was like, "I do."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
anyway, long story short, I kind of was in and out of consciousness, but they ground evac me back. I didn't want them to because they were going to risk their lives taking me back, man. If they were going to hit with another IED on those unimproved roads, so I didn't want them to. They couldn't call in a bird because of where we were at. So I was like, we'll just wait to everything when the quick reaction force gets here. I'll figure out where I'm going to go then. The Marines and the corpsmen already made the decision, like, nah, that's all right. Well, you got to go back. So, you know what I mean? But they
Yeah.
didn't, next thing you know, I was on this thing. They found out a way. They got me back to the fob, which was Camp Blessing at the time. I kind of was in and out. I didn't even remember them putting IVs in me. I woke up, I'm still in my uniform with my blouse off, still got my weapon on me, and they got the IV in. And the CO standing there like, Staff Sergeant, you got to get on a bird. There's a bird that's going to take you back to Bagram. Bagram was a stabilized air base in that region
Yes.
that was
Air
going to,
Force Base.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was an Air Force base. I didn't really know what it was. I was like, no, I can't leave my Marine, sir. And obviously, we got into this back and forth. Like, I'm not leaving. We got one more month left of this deployment. I ain't leaving them out here like that. And it's guilt came over me. This shame came over
Mm.
me. All this other stuff.
Mm.
And then so anyway, they got me back. Um, I they told me I can go to Kuwait and have the heart surgery there, and I was like, nah, I'm not having nothing done on my brain. genitals or my heart in this little area of reading. I need to get back to the United States before you start messing with major organs on me.
That's right.
So you're
No
not
doubt.
doing. So anyway, they told me that I finally ended up at Walter Reed. At Walter Reed, they had to go in through the groin area with this. They had to go in surgically through in the groin area all the way up with these radio waves, and they had to sear that insulation. And then they did that. It's called an ablation. And if any time it ever happens, your heart just stays on the same palpitations as everybody else. You know what I mean? So
Wow.
my career was over based on the paperwork. When I looked at it, I didn't qualify to reenlist. Reenlistment was coming up. I didn't qualify to, and I was like, well, what is the become of my career? So I'm looking at this paperwork, and I know if I turn this into the people when I get back, then one, I'm not gonna. If I do stay in the Marine Corps, it's gonna be limited to something that I don't want to do. You
Right.
know, I was born to be an infantryman. I was born to lead Marines. Long story short, I got back. I decided I'm going to use the confusion of this is the Army hospital. We have naval personnel, and I'm not going to turn in these EKGs. I'm not going to turn in this stuff. So the biggest risk I ever took was because I wanted to stay in, and I knew this was
Yeah.
going to stop it. So I didn't turn it in until I transitioned out for retirement. So my heart situation was undocumented. So had anything ever happened again throughout that time, the Navy would have had no documentation of this Wolff Parkinson's White syndrome because it really didn't. It existed on the Paris Island. It was just a big medical mix-up. So I think the biggest risk I ever took in this situation was because I wanted to lead. I weighed that option. I thought about it, man. It's worth death
That's
the
right.
lead to be a leader, live free and to lead and to live with no fear. That risk was worth it
Yes,
to
sir.
continue on, and it
Powerful,
hasn't
brother.
happened since. Thank
Powerful.
God, the ablations helped. I've had, and now I do take my health serious. Don't I'm not encouraging people to go against,
Right.
the doctor's wishes and stuff. What I'm saying is identify what's wrong with you. Don't let that limit you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like if you figure out something, like don't let what physically ailing you limit your dreams and your aspirations and the things that you want to accomplish. You just got to make it. You just got to live deliberately. So I figured it out. I went and got it. Since I got out, my heart gets checked regularly every year, and everything's fine. But had it not gone the other way, I would have been fine with that as well because I made the decision to keep pushing. So
How many years? How many years, my brother, have you did like in the military? So
I served 23 years.
23 years.
So when the ablation got or when the Wolff Parkinson White syndrome was diagnosed, I had been in about 5.5 years. So from knowing that situation in my heart, 5.5 years, all the way to the 23-year mark, I kind of kept it a secret. I kind of helped it. It did come up one time when I went back to Paris Island as a first sergeant because they have the same, I don't know whatever the record system they have. So
Yeah.
she said, you haven't had your EKG in a while. And I was like, oh, how does she even know? So she's like, you haven't had your EKG. We're going to check it. And they did check it again at that point, but I had already had the ablation. And that's when I started from that point on keeping it, checked regularly. But I
Thanks for
just kept,
sharing that story.
man,
Powerful, powerful, Coach Dio. I mean, this is powerful, right? Because you would think, and you shared many combat situations and all of that, but to have that be your greatest risk, and your love for family, your love for leadership to lead the Marines, that you're willing to put your health on the line. That's yeah, man. That's I salute you, brother. I didn't know that part of the story. I didn't know those details, so you filled them in. Guys, you guys watching this on the replay, watching live, you want to make sure that you're getting the book. Coach, how can you get a hold? Rob, right there, idol. How can they get a hold of you? And we want them to secure the book. We want them to buy the book from you. So how can they get a hold of you, if you don't mind?
everybody can. I mean, anybody can hit me up on all things Lytle the leader on Instagram, Robert Lytle on Facebook, Robert Lytle on LinkedIn. I'm on everything. I've tried TikTok. You know what I mean? I'm really not. I use social media as a way to expand the ministry of trying to help people. As far as doing it for my own accolades, I really try to use it to help people. However, I'm on every platform. So on Instagram, you can hit me up on Lytle the leader, and then and everything else is just Robert Lytle, Lytle.
Thank you for sharing that, brother. Coach T.O., I know you want to chime in on this because, yeah, this.
Yeah, I'm speechless right now, brother. Like I could listen to Robbie all day, man. I could just listen to him, man. Like I love his tenaciousness, man. And I know it's a word that he uses. I love his passion, man. You know when you see that reflection of God, man, and people,
Oh man.
Robbie's that for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I know Robbie, bro. Like I felt like I'm in Afghanistan with him, yelling at him, like, man, you got to get out of here, dog. You got to get out of here. Nothing out here is more important than you
Man.
getting back home to Michelle and the babies and Trey. Like nothing's more important than that, dog. But I know Robbie though. That's it's death before dishonor, bro. And you heard him say, man, I felt that guilt. I could only imagine that conversation with the CO. Just like, sure, you out of your freaking mind.
Oh man.
It's um that to me, man, is 23 years, man. All the things I said in the beginning, Reverend Emilio, about Robbie. It's just that culminating, man. I'm not surprised. Not at all, man. That EKG, man. I mean, you think about it. All of us collectively had something medically that we wanted to kind of keep close to the boat. Like we didn't really want, you know, but when you're talking about the heart, bro, that's a different ball game, man. And knowing because the key word Robbie said, he said adrenaline. Anytime I really get up, like when I get up, that's when it think about he's tracing, wire in the mountains of Afghanistan, dog. Like I've been to Afghanistan, so I truly 100% understand that how the adrenaline can be up in that moment. And out of all the time in the world, it happens.
Mm-hmm.
Soon as the corpsman put the stethoscope, Robbie already knew. Like, I know what it is. Y'all
Yeah.
might not know what it is, but I truly do. And it's like, man, uh, God does everything in season. You know what I mean? And I guarantee you, Robbie, if you go back to that specific date, whatever that date was, bro, in that moment, you do the math, it's gonna be right and exact
I know.
as to why God made sure that moment was that moment. And you're here with us this morning, brother, on the roll call, Born to Risk 07 Live, dog.
Man.
And man, we coming to Frisco. Me and Rev, we pulling up, bro.
Yes,
I'm
yes,
telling you,
yes.
we
Yeah, we got to
pulling up
figure that
down
out.
there.
And y'all always have a place in our home.
Yeah, bro. Like, man, I just it's some things, man, you just can't. There's no words for, bro. That's this moment for me. Like, man, I love you so much, dog. Like we all do, man, collectively. And the times that we've spent together, man, like we may talk about the Marine Corps, man, for 1 minute, Reverend Emilio. Like the Marine Corps, 1 minute out of the whole time we're together. In all the other time, we're talking about, man, how we could be better. The question
Man.
that your wife asked in the chat, Daniela, how do we transition? Me and Robbie locked in from the door. Like, bro, we are both retired sergeant major. It's no coincidence that we both retired at 23 years exactly. It's no coincidence that we've been studying, the same trajectory for all of these years. When Robbie talks about his father, oh man, I mean, we're gonna bring you back for that one, bro.
Yes, for
We're
sure.
gonna bring you back for that one because,
Oh man.
man, I know the influence that your father, rest in power to your father,
Man.
and what that man did, in the stint of time that you was able to share with him, and
Oh
how
man.
that has brought you thus far, and it shaped you, man, shaped
Man.
you in terms of how you are with your children, the example you are, man. So, bro, like, man, trust me, man, I thank you sincerely. all the fellas in the chat shouting out. Uh, man, dog, like that story's worthy, man. Like God put it on your spirit this morning to
I'll be
share
honest,
that.
I didn't think the story was good enough, to be honest with you. I read through it, I looked at it, I was like, we got 1,000 words, man. I was like, people expect when they hear Marine veterans, they want to see somebody fixing bayonets,
Oh my
but then I
goodness.
said, but nothing changed in my mind. I was like, nah, I got to keep it. But it was my wife. My wife read it. And when she read the story, the version that I turned into Emilio and Daniela, when she read it, when I saw her face and I saw her cheering up, I was like, that's the one. That's the one then.
Rob,
Because I
Coach.
wanted it to be authentic.
Yeah, I
Mm.
mean, you know what? Thank you again. And for those that are tuning in, again, we are just completed phase one of Born to Risk, the inaugural edition. And Coach Rob Lytle was one of the first ones that Coach T.O. introduced to the book. And just you heard him, guys. You're hearing him right now. He was in the background as Coach T.O. and I were prepping for our call because we only invite. This is an invite-only book. You can't just say, I want to be in it. And so as Coach T.O. and I were prepping our conversation, we didn't know that Coach Rob Lytle was in the background. He was already in the car. He chimed in earlier before we did. And all of a sudden, I hear him say, I'm in. And I'm like, we didn't even get talking yet officially. So, we thank you for accepting the invitation. And we thank Coach T.O. for making that introduction. And your story will absolutely, like it did today, will impact and influence many. So we thank you this morning,
man.
my brother.
Thank y'all, man. It's awesome to be here, and I appreciate y'all opening this platform so we can share these stories and help ourselves and help other people, because sharing these stories is therapy for us as well.
Right. That's
Man.
right. Shared pain is less pain. We always talk about that. Shared pain is less pain, right? You got something on your mind and your heart. If you keep it to
Mm,
yourself, we're only as sick as our secrets, right? And
yes.
Yeah.
so we've got to be able to
Oh, that's
share
a
it.
bar.
Got to be able to share it.
Man, if I may, I got an email yesterday, gentlemen, and just for context, it says time has passed, ranks have changed, seasons have closed, but the bond remains because it was never built on circumstance. It was built on shared stewardship, on two men being entrusted with authority while still carrying something holy they were learning to honor. I want you to know this plainly. I am proud of you, not just for what you accomplished, but for what you were willing to confront, not for the authority you carry, but for the humility that allowed God's image in you to be restored to its proper place, not for mastering the craft, but for remembering that we were never meant to be the source, only the vessel. And I want you to hear this clearly as well. I am very proud of your chapter. It is powerful, honest, and necessary. But more than that, the work itself is simply a reflection of the greatest that has always been within you, my friend. That single blip in time, parasilent,
Mm,
was enough. It revealed who you were when you were shaping others, long before life demanded you turn inward and let God reshape you. This is rare. This is sacred. This is brotherhood. Once a bond is formed in truth and rooted in the image of God, it does not fade with time. Semper Fidelis, and in every sense of the word, big I means being internally God's image, not just in thought or verbally, but in action and attitude. Your chapter is a jewel and it deserves to be amongst the greatest of testimonials. I am proud of you, Louis, your brother forever, Robbie Lytle. That was from Robbie to Louis Alicio. I got the email yesterday.
Mm,
Man, it brought me to tears, bro. I didn't even reach out to Robbie because I was like, man,
there he is, right
oh,
there.
wow.
That's John Vier. That's JV and Lou right there.
That's it. Wow.
and their guide in the middle, obviously. But if you look at that, that's John Vieira on the over on this far right, and that's Lou Alicio right there, man.
So
Alicia.
so Alicia was your heavy that cycle.
Yes.
Oh man, bro. I cried yesterday when I read it, man. Because Reverend Emilio, we before we get out of here, we always say the big I. Everybody in the Marine Corps knows the big I.
India, big India.
India Company. That was our company, right? Being internally God's image. Man, but and I know that's all for Robbie's heart right there. And when I saw that, I was like, wow, bro, this is look what God has done. Just in the reality of us coming together for Born to Risk. You know, God is interweaved all through it. Uh, and we're proud of Louis Alicio, man. Like we literally
Hmm.
are proud of Louis Alicio, brother. We're proud of Janvier. We're proud of Ross Blaine. You know, we're proud
Yes.
of so many individuals that have taken the time out. So we thank you, Robbie.
Oh man.
Man, that right there was that packed a powerful punch, brother. Because I know, man, for Louis Alicio up in Hubbard, Ohio, to read that, especially coming from you, dog. You was boss. Like we like he was my boss. Alicio, I still call him boss to this day, bro.
Yeah.
To this day. If I call him, hey, what's going on, boss? And he knows
Hmm.
what he knows that feeling, just like you do. You know, Ross Blaine was your boss. You
Yeah.
know,
Jonathan
so
Borders was my boss.
Jonathan Borders was your boss. So man, the tides run deep.
God,
Um, and we're grateful for everyone that's been a part of this project up to this point. Shout out to everybody who pushed through.
everybody, man.
Yes.
Uh,
Amen. Amen.
Man, it's so important, brother. So, but we thank you, Robbie, for coming through, blessing the mic today. We were able to take so much from the jewels that you gave just through the power of your story, brother.
Mic
We
drop
all
on all of
know,
that.
yeah, that's what it is. It's the
Yes.
story. And we thank you, man. And we're gonna see you soon, brother. And to everyone out there in fashion, as we always do, we'll close it out in prayer. Do you mind closing us out in prayer, Robbie, or you want me to take it? What you want to
No,
do?
I got it. I got it all day.
Absolutely. All right, let's do it, brother.
Oh, Heavenly Father, we just come to you in great gratitude and just happiness that we can all join together and we can be a part of this
Absolutely.
project. We just want to thank you for everything you provided to us, past, present, and the future. And we come to
Yes.
you with the utmost of humility and just ask for your wisdom, your knowledge, and your understanding as we move forward and navigate through these uh, obstacles that we call life. Allow us
Yes.
to stay strong together together and as individuals. Allow us to align our actions with your will and continue to prosper under your guidance and under your wisdom. In your holy name, we give thanks and we give praise
Yes,
to
Lord.
each other and to you.
Yes,
Amen.
Lord. Man.
Amen. Thank you, my good brother. Big hugs to
Yeah,
you.
bro. Yeah,
And
man.
everyone, thank you for everyone for tuning
Yeah,
in.
man.
Please share. Sharing is
Yeah.
caring, guys. Let's continue to share these resources
Man.
with everyone. And
Yes.
shout out to you, Coach Tio, for always
Yes.
supporting this mission here that we
Yeah,
have.
man. And everyone out there, hey, reflect on the dream
Mm.
of Dr. Martin Luther King today. No matter where you are in the world, across the states, overseas, the shield and the sword, sword and the shield. Um, just reflect on it. If you can pull your phone up and just go to the speech, listen to the speech. Just put the ear pods in and just listen and reflect on where you are today. How are you serving? We're here, 07. We live,
Mm.
man. We ready to rock and roll. And we're gonna
Yes.
continue to serve throughout the day. Shout out to Martin Luther King, man, right here in Atlanta,
Yes.
Georgia. It's festivities going all across the city.
Mm.
A lot of good reflection, man. So with that, we love y'all out there, and as we always emphatically say, peace.
Peace.